here we go for tip-top album review time. Welcome, everyone, to All Gas, No Trash. My name's Josh. As you all know, I'm just the fucking bootleg-ass sidekick, Josh. Here today, don't worry, the draw and the man, the myth, and the legend himself, Adam, is coming back. He just went into the garage studio to go get some fucking sodies, some diet sodies. Hey man, you wanna play Burnout 2 on PlayStation and you drink diet sodies and smoke weed?
Dude, I don't know how this album review is gonna go because you kind of dropped a bombshell on us, and we'll get to it after we do all the plugs and shit.
Yeah. So, anyways, if you want to hear all of our stuff, you can go to YouTube Game Rage Magazine. Every podcast is on there. It's fucking great. It's wonderful. It is the greatest podcast you've ever seen on YouTube. You'll love it. Everyone enjoys it. Go tune in. That was a shitty Trump impression, but whatever. Also, if you want to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow us at Game Rage Magazine. You can go to what's that one called? Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Additionally, if you like this podcast, you can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram to hear all the latest and greatest in musical news. And if you like animes and mangas, which I'm sure you might, you can follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast, and you can go listen to the Anime Syndicate podcast. All right, the plugs are out of the way, good buddy. So let's hear. Oh, you grabbed the lemonade.
Yeah, I don't know why. This is
those zero sugar lemonades are fucking delicious, man. I have to say.
Yeah.
But anyways, why don't you share with us? Well, I could share the revelation, but let's hear why you're now fucking sad.
Well, because it seems a little disingenuous that these youngsters were trying to sell off that we're supposed to believe that this band came together, right? And it's just a bunch of kids from like a neighborhood or something, and
yeah,
you know, they kind of rose through the ranks of the Southern California music scene, right?
Yeah.
And they're fairly young. They're in their early 20s, right? I was under the impression, like anybody would expect, that they'd come from like a middle class family or working class family, because nobody's fucking rich in the United States. I mean, you need like $500,000 to be considered middle class at this point.
Oh yeah.
But this is not the case. This is not a string of kids from your local neighborhood. In fact, it is quite the fucking opposite. And I didn't even bother doing research on this band. This is a band that I started following in 2021, and they are called Julie. It's a trio. I can't remember all the members, but it's Alexandra, Elizabeth, something Porzand, who's like the taller fellow. He played,
so
tan skin, and then the drummer. But you fucking stumbled upon something that I didn't even know about the goddamn band, because I never even looked into them, other than the fact that this was music that I liked. And so what do you got?
So I was just curious because there's a song in here that we're going to talk about that I legitimately thought that it was the lady from the Silver Sun Pickups. Like I thought it was the singer. I was like, holy shit, is this the same person? So I wanted to see who the singer was. So then, once I found that out and it said that they were only like fucking 23, I'm like, well, what the fuck? They're only 23 years old? Mm-hmm. This is fucking straight. So then I looked into when the band started. Okay, it started in 2020. So they've been around for 4 years. And I just wanted to see like where they were from.
I think it's 2019.
It said 2020 on all the shit that I read. So
because they have like an EP or single. Well, shit. I'll look it up in the meantime.
Yeah, I don't know. But all the shit I said, okay, so my two main sources of where I got the information I found was from The Guardian and from Teen Vogue, okay? So these are two legitimate publications that I'm sure the record label and all their PR people were involved in making sure these went out. And
Yeah, the
now,
fact that they're on Vogue is...
I had to pull this information out of two different articles because it wasn't in the same article, and I feel like that's by design. So one of them talked about how they grew up in Lake Forest, California, which is a very affluent area. It's a very rich kid area, right? It said two of them met at El Toro High School, which El Toro High School is in Lake Forest, but there are kids from other areas that go there because it's public school. So there are 49% of the students there are like considered in the poverty level, but the other 51% are not. That's the kids from actual Lake Forest, right? I do think one of the members, I don't have this for a fact, I think one of the members is in that lower, from a family of like lower end income, right? That might actually be kind of like, well, like that person that came from the bottom and rose to the top, right? Because two of them met in high school, and then they met the girl who was the singer. One of the kids went to the LA School of Architecture and Design, and then that's where they met this girl who's the one of the lead vocalists. That's where the one guy who went there met her. Now, the LA School for Architecture and Design is like in the top 20% of most expensive schools in the United States to go to in terms of colleges.
Yeah.
And they are in the bottom 5% of students that receive financial aid.
So it's straight out of pocket.
Most of it's straight out of pocket, according to the research I found about this school. So the information I found, one in The Guardian, they had the thing about how they were from El Toro and they met, or not El Toro, but they were from Lake Forest and they met at this El Toro High School. Two of them did. And then the other interview talked about how the other two of them met in this.
The girl
the girl and the other one of the, I think it's that Perjersian guy or whatever.
Perzand.
Yeah, whatever his name is. They met at Architecture and Design School. So therefore, at least two of the three members are rich kids, or they have to be.
Fuck, that's just...
So also... And then obviously they started, according to their Wikipedia page or whatever, their years active or whatever, or 2020 to current,
shit.
I think is what it said.
Yeah, let me look that up.
And so that was something that kind of got me just already thinking about, well, yeah, 2020 present, years active. They started in 2020. They've only been around for fucking 4 years, and they've already done, one of the articles was talking about how they just got back off of like their second or third European tour, and I'm like,
yeah, dude.
How the fuck do you guys have been around? You've only existed for 4 years.
But that's how quickly it happens.
Right. But again, if you've got money, if you've got a play, because how the fuck you can get in, and this is the thing, I can find nothing about who their parents are or any of that shit, which I'm sure there's information.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
That is there. Some of them may possibly be involved in the music industry. I have no idea. I have nothing to prove that, but I have nothing that doesn't prove that either.
Okay. I will say though, when they started out, they were playing a lot of backyard shows and shit. So it wasn't just like
sure.
It was they were immediately playing the House of Blues, which they do end up playing later in their like the year after. I mean, when I found them in 2021, they were still playing like small 100, 200 person venues or some shit. Well, the one I saw them at was at La Santa, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't even the opening band, but a lot of people came to see them. And I already knew, like, I kind of had an idea that they were going to end up where they've ended up. Like, they've already signed to Atlantic Records in the course of the last 3 years. I don't know when it happened, but it happened fairly quickly. And what this ultimately does, it absolutely influences my opinion for the album itself, because this is their debut album, and they don't even release a whole lot, which is kind of this is such like a slap in the face to other artists that really try and put out singles, consistently, and put out EPs to give people the illusion that they're at least putting in the effort and that they have a presence, and their music is worth listening to, and it's worth your time to sit down and listen to, right? These guys, like, I will say though, like, they're the personification of like coolness, right? Like they're the kids that don't talk a whole lot, and there's like this mystique about them, right? But now that's all kind of been blown away.
Also, one of the articles that I read was talking about how the reason, because it was talking about that, that they're the cool kids. They're not online. They're not on the social media.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how the reason why they're not on social media is because they get so much hate and they just didn't want to deal with it. Like, that's basically the reason.
Oh, they got so much hate. Okay.
Which I understand, because now I understand. This is why you guys are getting so much hate, is for the reason that I hate this, not to spoil the review, but for the questions that I had about this, I was like, well, why wouldn't you? How do you get to where you're at without being online? Without all of a sudden you just get picked up. You're rich kids.
That is a little bit concerning.
That leads me to conclude, based on the evidence presented, that there was some fuckery involved with this, and this is not like. Not that I'm saying it's not legit, but like they got some help.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's the non-skeptic perspective of them, or at least the one that I had, was that less is more with this band.
Yeah.
That they weren't going to post a lot, and their presence online was going to be limited, and they probably don't even talk that much when they perform.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how they were going to carry themselves as a band, right?
Right.
But now hearing that, I feel like it's the other thing, that it might just be that this is orchestrated and they don't want people to know about who their parents are, or what you were saying about how much hate they're getting as a band, or whatever the fuck it is, but it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Which is that's just kind of how they carry themselves. It also just it makes their music look disingenuous now. Well, like for them being angsty, right?
Yeah.
If you come from a middle class family, a working class family at this point, and you're 18 years old, you don't have a whole lot to look forward to. But when you come from a affluent neighborhood and you're trying to be angsty and sad and all this dumb shit, it makes the music look stupid.
Well, here's the other thing. The two of them that went to that LA architecture school, they dropped out, right?
Yeah.
So it says they're very vocal about how they dropped out. Why would you spend the $52,000 or $60,000 the year you were there just to drop out? Like, if you've got money to burn, okay, who cares? Who gives a shit? Or if your parents got money to burn, how, like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense if you are a lower class or lower income individual, that if you got an opportunity to go to some school for 60, dude, my parents would murder me if I got that opportunity and then just dropped out.
Yeah, I mean, most people that come from a background where their parents are making combined like $100,000 or even $500,000.
Yeah.
If you go to college, that's a privilege that you get to go, and you better fucking commit and go all the way through, finish your degree.
Oh yeah.
It's not a choice. Like,
yeah,
which
have
means
to
that they do have the money to basically can their professional career or would-be professional career. I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, I'd rather go make fucking
music.
I'd rather go make fucking Nirvana 2024.
Yeah. So that pretty much, I don't even think I have a score for this album anymore. It's pretty much gone out the window, and the authenticity that I thought existed with this band about being jaded about the world, and I really didn't expect all that much in terms of lyrical content for their music to begin with. Like, it wasn't really about the lyrics for me from this band, because at 20 years old, what could you possibly write about that would mean anything to anybody,
you don't have
right?
any fucking life experience, dude. Like, I don't, and that was the reason that got me questioning this whole thing.
Yeah.
Was because I'm like, okay, you're writing about shit that's like, yeah, okay, you're writing about maybe past relationships, but you're writing about, like, you know, very angsty shit, and it's like, motherfucker, you haven't even paid taxes for that long yet. Like, you don't got nothing to fucking complain about.
Yeah. So it just, hearing this shit kind of just ruins the whole album for me. So I don't even have a score anymore, but if you just want to go track by track of some of the songs, and I mean, I don't have a score anymore, so.
Oh, I'll still give my score of what I thought.
Yeah,
because I knew this, because so the way when we did this, because we'll just say like this one we did different because we had 3, so like we couldn't sit here and listen to them live, right? Because it would take up too much time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do like we normally do, and we'll just say, okay, here's the first track. We're gonna pause it, and then whatever you can pause it, and go listen along, and then we took notes or I took notes about.
Yeah, we can still do the same thing. We're not gonna actually pause it, but we'll just say pause it.
Yeah,
and then
pause
you actually
it.
pause
We'll just
it.
keep
and
it going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep going. But
So for me,
and I'll say straight away, but like before we even start kind of going through each track and stuff, and anything we have to say about each track, objectively speaking, like I don't know how you feel about grunge or like shoegaze music, which is a lot of like heavy distortion and shit like that. Like this is I like this.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't dislike it. Okay, and so the problem that I had with this wasn't that it wasn't my type of music. This was the John Cena's been champion fucking 18 times in my mind. It's just somebody new doing the same old shit that we've always seen.
Yeah.
Like this to me was like very reminiscent of it was like a Nirvana. This was like the late 90s, like early 2000s, like that fucking I don't know, grungy fucking Nirvana. It's Nirvana. It's all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I just kind of thought, okay, cool. If you're gonna do that, then maybe put something different into it. Maybe do I don't know, or at least make the fucking lyrics entertaining or interesting.
Nah, it's like it's so. I mean, just like the appearances or the aesthetic or the strategy of how they present themselves online, they also keep the lyrics to a minimum, which you expect, right? Like this is what you kind of expect. So I put no score or no influence on the lyrics because I just like the sound of the album itself, like the guitars and the production itself, like all that shit was cool, like. But
that sounds cool. But again, like I said, if I'm sitting here listening to this, the only reason I listened to this obviously was because we were doing the album review.
Yeah.
I would not listen to this like at my leisure because there's other shit that's better that I like. That's the old shit that this is mimicking.
Yeah.
I would rather listen to that shit than listen to this, than listen to a knockoff.
And by the end of the album, compared to the other two things we were listening to, this one actually had my interest like fading away because it is like angsty. It is angsty. It is like with this jaded perspective of the world. And I'm like, fuck, man, life's not that bad. Like,
no, yeah.
And especially when you're trying to give the illusion that life is weird in that way, right? And I'm like, life's not that bad. And I feel like I'm hearing the same track over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some great tracks on here, so we can start kind of going over some of the tracks, I suppose.
Yeah. So let me.
We started off with. So if you want to go ahead and listen to this,
obviously the album is my anti-aircraft friend,
right?
By Julie.
Anti-aircraft friend from Julie, and. This is their debut album with Atlantic Records, so already in the big money with major record label. First song is called Catalog, and if you want to listen to it, go ahead and do so. Pause here, and then we'll get back to you. So this is Julie with Catalog, and we're just going to continue rolling.
Yeah, we're just going to keep it going. So you paused it, you came back. That was Catalog by Julie, as you just heard.
Right.
So this first track, I did say what a great opening track that was.
Yeah, me too.
I said that the instrumentals were great. This song, I felt like this is like a commercial value type song here. I felt like this could be in some kind of like an action movie or some kind of like, I don't know, like a commercial about like cell phones where it's like, oh, they're sad. And then all of a sudden like, oh, the cell phone comes. Like, I don't know.
I think what I thought for this song, even though they just came out with this shitty remake, this type of music would definitely fit for a Crow movie.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But they made that shitty remake.
Yeah, and honestly, this shitty fucking bullshit would have been great in there. Yeah. I mean, it really would have been.
So some of the things I had written was, from what I could piece together about the lyrics, because I actually couldn't read the lyrics for any of the songs because I listened to this like Friday morning or whatever and got it out of the way. So I couldn't tell if the song was about getting raped or one's first experience with sex. Regardless of how you listen to this album, I felt like, I was listening to this on my phone, so I didn't even have like a headphones, but like I went back and listened to it on headphones and it sounds just as good. But I felt like this album sounds excellent regardless of like how you listen to it. I thought the mixing between the instruments was great. I think I have like a slight preference for the female vocalist compared to the dude. Like it just doesn't hit the same.
Didn't like him. That guy needs to just maybe be, in my opinion, obviously they're going to continue this. They're not going to just stop it because we're saying shit about him.
Yeah.
But my recommendation would be that they need to fucking tone down. This guy needs to be like maybe just enhancement or a background.
Yeah.
She should be the focus for sure.
I think so as well. I don't know if there was any effects on the bass. I think it kind of just comes across as like really, everything just mostly comes across as raw. Like, of course, you have the guitar distortion, which is kind of fitting for shoegaze or, whatever, and especially for like grunge and shit. I just like the sound of the bass. Yeah, I didn't have anything else to add. I just wrote down that Julie's too cool for school, which apparently they are because they're fucking rich. And, it's kind of a consistent thing that there's just like this general sentiment of apathy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck, man. And I did, like I said, I enjoyed the album all the way up until like the last third of it. I'm like, this is getting old. But
yeah.
So then we work our way towards the second track, which is Tenebrist. So if you want to pause it, go ahead and do so. This is Tenebrist from Julie. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to All Gas, No Trash. So we're talking about the track Tenebrist from Julie. What did you have to say about the track?
Okay, so this is where I now became confused. Because I was like, well, wait a minute. Where's the chick at? I thought this was I thought this band, I thought this band was a chick lead singer. Now I'm hearing some asshole fucking go on and on.
Yeah.
But again, this song was all right. This wasn't terrible. I was like, okay, it was jarring. I thought that this song probably could have been inserted later in the latter half of the album.
Yeah, because
it wouldn't have been as jarring
when it winds down, because the tracks get softer,
right, as you
in
go
the first
through.
half. Yeah.
This wouldn't have been as jarring if we had already heard him more on the other songs, and then all of a sudden we get one with him. Okay, cool, that makes sense. But to go from her to now this asshole, it's like, wow, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But again, the song itself was all right. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah. I just wrote down that it reminded me of Shrub Rock from is that how you pronounce that? Shrub, like the angel, like the Cupid guy?
The cherub?
Cherub?
Yeah.
Cherub?
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 Cherub? Like a chair?
Cherub? Cherub Rock from Smashing Pumpkins. The album is heavy on the grunge, no lyrics available. Oh, I wrote down that there's no lyrics available at the moment. I just made a note that I have a preference for the female vocalist. I pretty much wrote that pretty much. I wrote that consistently throughout each of the songs. The back end of the song had this screeching guitar sound. Adds for an album that is heavy on guitar distortion. It's kind of interesting when you can create a little bit of variety within the sound itself.
Yeah.
And this was like one of the songs where they had, I think it was in the latter portion of it where there was like this weird screeching sound that was really interesting. But yeah, that was Tenebrist. And then we had the next track, which is Very Little Effort, which is what you could say about their online presence.
In my opinion, what you could say about this whole fucking experience right here was very little effort.
Right.
But anyways, Very Little Effort by Julie. We'll pause it right here. All right. Now we've come back from Very Little Effort by Julie. And this is where it started to go off the rails for me. Already track number 3. I was like, okay, I literally wrote down, this is the same old shit. Here we go.
Same old shit.
90s fucking Nirvana mumble horse shit. Here we are. These guys are just doing it again. And I said this song was where I really got that she is doing like her best impression of this. This is like the Silver Sun Pickups, like that vocalist in there. That
dude.
Or whatever he is. She sounds just like him. Like that's what I fucking thought. Like, it sounds just like him.
Yeah.
So I thought that the way that she was singing, I was like, oh, cool. Is this a Silver Sun Pickup song? Like, what the fuck? Oh, I even thought that it was the same motherfucker from Silver Sun Pickups, which is why I even started looking this. This is how I went on this fucking rabbit hole with these fuckers, is because I was like, oh, that would make sense if that's this fucking person's new band or something, or a side project.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what? No? I don't know. All right, anyway, so go ahead. What did you think?
For very little effort, I had written down that I don't know why, or I do know why because I wrote it down, but I had written that I liked how the drums were recorded. They sound like they're taking up space in a garage, but it's heavily reverberating wherever they track the drum kit, but it also sounds tight. Like, I don't know if it's hard to describe in words, but when I say it sounds tight, it sounds like it's in like a cardboard box.
There's no echo or anything. It's just the sound and that's it.
Like it's not just reverberating everywhere.
Yeah,
it sounds like a tight kit.
Yeah, like you hear. Yeah, I think I know what you're trying to say.
Or when you're in your closet and you try to. Compared to like when you're opening in a living room,
like a big ass living room. Yeah,
but it had like the tightness, but it also had a little bit of the airiness, like the sound of the drums kind of reverberating in some limited
capacity,
space.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really enjoyed how the drums sounded in this particular song. And then there was this part where they both are harmonizing. And they go down on like this hard beat. So there was like this gimmick that they would go back to on multiple tracks where they would stop and then they would come back on like a hard beat. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But it kind of played out a lot in a lot of the tracks. And then for whatever reason, I wrote down these songs are deprived of joy. Any sweetness can only be extracted from the female vocalist voice. And that's what I wrote down for, what was that track? Very little effort.
Real effort, yeah.
So now we are going to transition over to Clairborn Practice, which is the fourth track of the album. If you want to listen to it, then you can pause here and we will be on our way to giving our analysis of it. But this is Clairborn Practice. All right, now we're back. That was Clairborn Practice. So what I had written for this song, it wasn't an entire amount of notes, but I wrote down, Julie is like the Nirvana for Gen Alpha or Gen Z for this particular generation. At this point, I just didn't even know what the lyrics were saying because they kind of say things like real fucking softly. Not that these lyrics, even if you did read them, that they would provide any kind of substance or like meaning or purpose.
They're definitely not.
Song ends with weird alien sounds and inaudible words, and then I found out they actually say, to draw their imaginary tormentors, the teachers asked a few of the troubled students, and that's all it says.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down the stop and goes of the song are badass. So that's something that I was referring to from the previous song, where they would go in real hard and then they would stop for like a split second or two, and then they would come back. And so that was something that was reoccurring. But what did you have to say about the song?
I literally wrote same old shit.
Same old shit.
That's what I wrote. And I stand by that.
You stand by that.
I will say, I think like you made a good point about how this is like quote unquote the Nirvana of like Gen Alpha or Gen Z or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the value is in this and why they got a record deal. Because if you're of the generation that hasn't heard Nirvana,
this is the closest thing you can get.
Well, this is like this new version of that. It is the same old shit as far as I'm concerned. People like me probably aren't going to like this, but the young kids who maybe haven't been exposed to it as prevalently as we were,
or were craving it,
right? This is perfect for them. Yeah. This is some shit that should be on K-Rock. That's what I meant.
It should be something on K-Rock, but as I was kind of going through this album, I was starting to realize this is only good for one album. And I also think like this made me think retrospectively about Nirvana, that if Kurt Cobain was still alive, that it wouldn't have lasted.
Tarnished. It would have been, they would have tarnished their own legacy, basically.
It would have,
in my opinion.
Yeah, because this is only going to work so many times before people get tired of it. And I don't think Nirvana would have aged well if they would have kept going. I think if Kurt Cobain was as smart as he was, or if people think he's as great as he was, I think he would have ended it after, I think, probably 15 years and then try to do something different, because there's no way this could have lasted fucking more than 5 albums or whatever.
No, there's no fucking way.
All right, now we're working our way towards the second half of the album, but we got Knob, which is the next track. So go ahead and line that track up next, and we'll pause here and you'll go ahead and listen to it. So this is Knob from Julie, and we'll get back to you in a second. All right, so that was Knob. I feel like a fucking knob for listening to this.
Yeah, so do I. So fucking do I.
So what I had written for this song is, the song is a nice break from all the animosity in the first songs, meaning that, you know, all the heavy guitar distortions, all that shit. Slow, stripped down. Never mind, we got back to incorporating the drums and bass, like in the latter portion of the song itself. And I wrote down, these tracks are worthy of being on television or movies. Could easily see it on a movie like The Crow. So yeah, I wrote that down.
Yeah, to me, this song was, they did change it up a little bit, and this became like this was a good impersonation of like, this was like Stone Sour or like a Chevelle kind of vibe to it. But it wasn't different enough to make me be like, oh yeah, this is good. It was kind of the same shit, just not done as well.
Yeah, and I don't think that poor Zand fellow really adds anything on vocals other than for kids that are trying to be angsty and sad about basically nothing. His vocals don't work for me.
No.
So we'll get to track number six, which was Thread and Stitch. So go ahead and line that song up. This is Thread and Stitch from Julie. And go ahead and press pause. All right, now we're back. So we have another slow-paced song. So there was something interesting that happened in this song. It was like the guy doing the vocals passed the baton to the chick, because it was like they were taking the gas pedal off of their own vocals and then letting somebody else hit the next gear. And then they harmonized, which I thought was kind of a cool mechanic within their song. So I gave points for that.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down, I don't know if you can see it, but it says, I wrote down, some of the songs are starting to feel redundant. So I said, this is great for a debut album, but if this is all we can expect from Julie in the future, this will become a predictable and expected experience for, years to come.
Yeah. I said, this is good if you're a fucking NPC. Okay. I'm sorry. It's literally the same shit again.
Yeah.
So that's what I wrote. This is the same shit. Yeah. I had no other notes.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to track number 7, which is Feminine Adornments. So go ahead and cue that song up, and we'll see you in a second. Feminine Adornments from Julie. All right. So we're back. That was Feminine Adornments from Julie. I didn't write a whole lot for the song because I didn't really particularly care for it.
Yeah, neither did I.
I said I have a slight preference for the female vocalist, which is something I kind of said before. While the tracks have winded down, the white noise of the guitar remains. Which, they've been opening a lot. The last 2 tracks, they start off soft, and then we get right back to the guitar distortion, heavy fucking white noise of their music. So.
Yeah, I wrote down that too about I prefer the female vocalist.
Yeah.
For this one, and it's like winding down, but it's same old shit.
Yeah, All right. So track number 8, I'll cook my own meals. So the track names are kind of funny.
Yeah, okay, listen, that's the score that I gave them at the end, you'll see, reflects the hilarity that I enjoyed from a couple of these songs.
Yeah. So we have I'll cook my own meals. Cue that song up, and we'll see you in a second. I'll cook my own meals from Julie. Press play. Press pause.
All right, now we're back.
All right. I didn't have a whole lot to say about this song. I just wrote down if I was 18, I'd be making playlists of Julie for a girl for sure.
Yeah, I said that I would put, when I was in high school, I would have put this on my playlist for some girl. And then I also said, oh, more fucking Nirvana, here we go.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I remember writing that as the song opened. I'm like, oh, here we fucking go again.
Yeah. So not much to say there. We'll get to the next track, piano instrumental. Cue that song up and go ahead and press pause. This is piano instrumental from Julie. All right, we're back. So I wrote down, song called Piano Instrumental doesn't have any piano in it. The guitar riff in this song is fucking dope. I like the song picking up pace and becoming progressively distorted and explosive. And that's all I wrote.
I said, this is great because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
A song that's called Piano Instrumental, yet there is no piano and it's not an instrumental.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That song is one of the 3 that I enjoyed on this album.
Song 10, the ultimate end of the album, which is Stuck in a Car with Angels. I don't know if this song was about suicide or I don't know what the fuck it was about, but I thought it was a great way let's go ahead and pause.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll let you listen to the track. So go ahead and cue it up and pause the program. And this is Stuck in a Car with Angels from Julie. All right, now we're back. So I just wrote down, this is a great way to end the album, a soft and somber nature to the track. Julie gets explosive in the halfway point of the song. That's all I fucking wrote. So in conclusion, for myself personally, as a result of your research, I don't have a score for this album.
That's fine. I think it's best to recuse yourself from a score.
Yeah.
I will give my score, and I'll say what I said. For this song, I said, again, same old shit. Please end this already. And I will say this. Regardless of how I feel about this album, I do think there's potential here. I think they can do something great after this.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility. I want to hear in the next 3 to 5 business years when they come out with their second album, I'd love to listen to that and see if there's progression. If there's progression, if it's the same horse shit, dunzo.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is what you could expect for the next, pretty much the entire
their career.
Yeah, I don't think, and that's kind of like the tragedy of me listening to this, is I like Julie in small doses and realizing that, they've done EPs and singles in the past, right? Now that I've heard everything in a whole album, I'm like, yeah, this is not the route for them to go anymore. Like they're more of a singles band than they are an entire body of work. So
yeah,
I do, like I said, it doesn't change the fact that I do enjoy their music, but I know that this is all we're gonna get out of them. So
yeah, I basically concluded that these are just a bunch of rich kids cosplaying as 90s grunge alternative.
That's a fair summary.
Kind of what it feels like.
What score did you give it?
I gave it. Oh, I'll tell you in a second. Let me finish the rest of this. And I will give you the score.
All right, go ahead.
So I had just said that to me there was just no storytelling here. It's just a bunch of songs about blah blah, sad problems, this, girls, blah blah blah, dudes, blah blah blah, kind of whatever. Yes, the album was very well engineered. It sounded great.
It sounded fucking great.
Of course it does. It's from Atlantic fucking Records.
Yes.
How could it not sound great?
Right.
But that is a plus. So with the pluses in mind that I had seen, I gave this album a 3 out of 10. And then I said, fuck these guys. That's what I said after that. I wrote that. 3 out of 10, fuck these guys.
Fuck, man. I was kind of hoping you would give it, well, at least it's a better score than Joey Valence and Bray, dude, because that shit sucked dick.
Yeah, that shit was 0 out of 10. That shit was garbage.
Yeah.
I didn't, and again, I'm being fair. I liked three of the 10 songs on this album that were
Yeah.
enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the 3 out of 10. Everything else was fucking shit.
Yeah.
So-
what was it fucking? Let me see. It was the first track, obviously.
The first track, the second track, and the piano instrumental. Those were the 3 that I was like, okay.
Yeah, Catalog is definitely the strongest track on the. I'm like, damn, you blew your load in the first fucking.
Yeah, that was the best thing. I mean, you should have fucking worked up to that. Like,
Yeah. So, well, shit. At least it didn't waste our time. We already,
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. So, anyways,
That's a fucking wrap.
That's a wrap on this
Julie.
one. So anyways, that was Julie. Go check them out and listen. Don't fucking take our word for it. Go fucking listen to them if you just didn't listen to the album and you just want to hear what we thought.
Yeah.
Go listen to My Anti-Aircraft Friend. I did think this was going to be some weird like war shit, which would have been cool, but it had nothing to do with that. So I was.
Oh, I do want to mention that I think even with the fakeness to their
Persona.
their persona, I do like the fact that they have their own avatar for like their album art, the weird girl.
Yeah, that's cool.
It kind of reminds you of like 2D from the Gorillaz. Like this is their mascot. This weird angsty girl that's like the weird anime angsty girl that's usually on their album art. So I don't know who draws that. I'm guessing the girl draws that. But yeah, I do give them points there that they at least have some type of curation within their own online presence, like the visual aspect and kind of how they portray themselves. But to know that it's all bullshit, like
that sucks, man. That just sucks.
Yeah,
that just fucking sucks.
All right,
but anyways,
we're fucking off.
Yeah, all right. If you want to listen to more of our shit, go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. You should be following Adam if you like this show at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram. And as always, if you love the animes and the mangas from the Japans, you can go listen to the anime_syndicate_podcast. And that's the name of it on fucking Instagram for you to follow. That'll do it for us. Stay tuned for the next album review. Will it be better? Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.